Swapping out the big boy for the itty bitty one. Not gonna put it all the way together though. That's not really the point of right now. I'm gonna hook up the other trailer. I'm gonna show you what that does. About 2 years ago, a guy in the area, he was selling some 6x6 poles. We were like, we can use those. So we decided to go over, take a look, and make a deal with him. Ended up buying them. And while we were there, we learned that he was in the trades, he was in construction. He had a bunch of 16-foot roofing panels, 36 of them to be specific, plus all the offcuts and some of the edge trimming material and whatnot that he took off of a roof that he had redone. So they have the screw holes in them, but other than that, they're perfectly intact. As long as, the thought was, as long as we can reuse them and reuse the same holes, everything will be fine. And even if not, depending on the use case, it really won't matter. So what we ended up doing was buying those off of him. And then he shows me this awesome trailer that he's got. He tells me what it's used for. Running fence. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. This is just a simple trailer from Sutherland's. One of those little metal bottom, cheap $400 or $500 trailers, nothing special about it. And he fabricated these brackets to basically hold the spool. So we just went to Tractor Supply, took advantage of a Labor Day sale and bought 3 rolls of Red Brand woven wire. You know, the stuff that right now is just stupid priced in the stores, but it is when you pick it up on a Labor Day sale, it actually turns out to be fairly reasonable again. So by their standards, 40% off, but checking with other folks who bought several bits of this in the last couple of years, several rolls of this in the last couple of years, I only paid 20 bucks less than they did, 2-3 years ago. So yeah, good times. The other funny thing about this woven wire, before I move on to the trailer, is maybe a month ago, I guess it was, maybe a month ago, I worked out a deal with a buddy of mine who was really looking for some more woven wire or something to finish out his duck pen. And I ended up, I actually had 3 rolls of this stuff sitting in surplus, and I had them for 3 or 4 years and didn't think I was going to get around to any projects that would call for it. So I was like, hey, Spags, I'll hook you up, man. By the way, if you haven't checked him out, Spags Unfiltered, I'll put a link in the description to him. You ought to go check out his channel. He's a pretty cool dude. But he's using the wire that I gave him to finish out the duck pen with his daughter in one of his recent videos, where he's talking about raising them right. I thought it was funny that ended up happening. And so yeah, about a month later, here we are. We decide, fix that camera tripod. There we go. So anyway, yeah, like a month later, I decide, my wife and I decide, it's time to go ahead and jump into our next animal. Chickens are doing well. We got, everything kind of sorted out there. Wanted to wait until we had a barn for anything more, just so we're redirecting funds where we need to. But honestly, in time, the sheep may help pay for the barn. So we decided that we're going to go ahead and get into sheep. And we're going to put them back out over here. It's about 1.5 acres that we've already got designated for them. It's got good grass. It's got some weeds coming up in it now, but it's got good grass. There's no real trees, no real browse, so goats don't make sense. And we decided we're going to do hair goats. particularly St. Croix if we can get them. But that's what we're looking at. So today, we're just chipping away at the resources, the rest of the resources that are going to be required to pull this off. And so I took advantage of a Labor Day sale, went and picked up the woven wire, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I put it on this trailer. So yeah, let's get to it. Hey, buddy. Ranger's out here with me this afternoon. He decided he wants to help me out. Alright, so first things I'm going to do is figure out the direction of the wire. So it's going to unroll this way. When I go around the property, that's going to be the top. So I want that side over there, and I want this side over here. They're mirrored pieces, so it shouldn't be a problem. That's my goal. Lifting this uphill is not fun. Alright, we're guided on. Now, I'm going to get it in the Okay, we're on. Now what I can do got threaded on, and I'm going to pin it. Get a pin so there's no chance that that side can come off. Let me take you around over here real quick. I'll show you this. This side over here is captured. So you can see it has a couple smaller discs here, and then the main plate. All three of them are welded on, but that keeps it centered in the middle of the trailer. That's why he did it the way he did it. And then the other two rolls, I'm just going to drop right back here in the front of the trailer. That'll help balance it out just a little bit. But the real benefit to this is that when I'm done with that roll, all I got to do is thread on the next one, weave it in to join it up with the other one, and I can make a continuous line as long as for as much bed space as I have here. So it's pretty cool. He also modified the rear gate here, knocked off one of the connection points, so basically the tail will fold down flat. So I can pull this anywhere, and I don't have to worry about, you know, low-hanging branches to any measurable extent. And this thing is light enough, fully rigged, that it can be pulled behind a four-wheeler or anything like that. So that's the benefit of it. And then I guess in addition to that, the other thing that he did is he gave me two other size poles that he made for this. One is for doing, you know, any sort of fencing with a smaller diameter center hole. And then the third one there, which is just all thread, I think is more intended for barbed wire, but he set it up that way so like with PVC spacers between the rolls, you can actually pull 3 or 5 strands at a time from the back of this trailer. So one run, get it done kind of thing. But that's how that works. All right, so I'm gonna let me set the tripod here if I can find a patch of stable ground real quick. I'm gonna get the other ones unloaded, and then that'll be it for part 1. After this, I'll show you how I'm gonna go out over there and I'll stake out the ground, get it prepped, get it ready to go, and you know, in the second part, and do this kind of as a multi-part series of sorts. All right, so let's get these unloaded, and we'll go from there. Watch out, buddy. Roll number 1. Roll number 2. Okay, one more story time. Years ago, we lived down in Texas. You don't mind if I smoke a cigar, do you? Little bitty one. Hey, buddy. Good Ranger. Years ago, we lived down in Texas. We had 10 acres down there, and it was not fenced in the front yard area. We had about 2+ acres, I guess it was. And so the front of the property was not fenced in. Over time, we started to see that as an issue with our neighbors who were really bad with their animals, and like would let their guinea fowl and their I guess is Great Pyrenees roam on our property, and their dog would pick fights with our dog at our backyard, and I had to motivate them to build their own damn fence by telling them I'd turn that thing into a coyote and shoot it, or treat it as a coyote and shoot it if I had to. And you know, the guinea fowl and the other things were a problem too. You know, we grew up late for sleep in a lot of times, so not always, but a lot of times. So, getting woke up by a guinea fowl at 7 o'clock in the morning when you're going to bed at 3 or 4, that'll piss you off. So, especially since they were right outside our bedroom window. Anyway, so we had this 10-acre property that we really wanted to fence in. The house was pushed back 2 acres or so off the road, and at the time we had no mechanical advantage. I didn't really have a trailer or any kind of setup like this at that point. I didn't have skid steer or even a tractor or anything to really move stuff around. Not even a 4-wheeler or something to tow it. So, I mean, we had a golf cart of all things. And we used it all the time on the property, but we didn't have anything set up that I could do this kind of work with. So what I did, this would have been about 2018, I ended up putting in most of the fence myself. And in the area we were, there was it used to be a cotton farm, and there was black clay 6 inches down from the topsoil. So nothing would grow except goldenrod and sagegrass and, all the garbage crap you don't want. Johnson grass, all that stuff would kind of grow deep back in the back in an area that was like a 100-year floodplain. So honestly, for the last 8 months we were there, we couldn't even use the back 4 acres because it was all underwater. That's a different story. So anyway, we decided to build this fence. The problem was I had no mechanical advantage, but I was strong. I was really strong. I mean, you just saw me pretty much mostly lift that one of the spools up. Well, imagine me picking one of those things up and walking it across 2 acres. That's what I used to do. It's a private story behind that. I don't really want to talk about it, but I had a lot of strength. What it boils down to is I had a lot of strength, and I was able to do that kind of thing, and so I just did it. I didn't think much about it. I didn't think about the consequences of what was going to happen to me physically or the tear down on my body. I just the work's got to get done. I've got the physical strength to do it. Nobody's coming to help me. I'm just going to do it. And so bought all the poles, bought all the materials, bought all the fencing, and just started in on it. I had a couple friends, 2 buddies of mine, Matt and Robert, and 2 different days they showed up to help me finish the fence after it was 90% done. And then my neighbor to the side, he kind of helped me as well, my buddy John. We didn't have a property line between the 2 of us, but we wanted one because he wanted to run cows and I wanted to keep his damn cows off my property. Sorry, stories for days. What can I say? I'm Southern. So anyway, I started building this fence, and he's got a tractor but can't really use it. We're talking about 2018 and like monsoon season for some weird reason down in Texas, in North Texas. And his skid steer, he's got an auger bit for it, but it's just bouncing off the clay 6 inches down. And we got to go 3 feet in order to get these poles set correctly, right? So I go and I get the hand auger and I just start digging, hole at a time, in muddy black clay. It's just wrecking me to death, but I'm getting it done. And it took me 5 weeks, I think. It was either 3 or 5 weeks. I'm going to be conservative and say it took longer, but I think it may have been 3. Let's say 5 to get it all done. But anyway, I was carrying these big old rolls of Red Brand from one up by the house where they dumped the load over to the far corner, and then all along the perimeter, and then where it was appropriate I'd put it down and I'd roll it. But these things I'm built for standing up and for bursting. I'm not built for bending over and pushing a log on the ground. So it was easier for me to carry these things across the 2-acre field than try to push them down it or push them across it. I guess technically that was uphill too, so it wouldn't even really been feasible to do it that way. But after that experience, I destroyed the tendons in my hands. I've got a permanent cyst or mass right here on the tendon of this pinky. So, I brute force things a lot. in younger days, and I never really thought about the consequences as I got older. I'm not that old. I'm really barely in the middle of my life, in my 40s, and still have a ton of energy and capability in me. Still got a lot of strength, but I'm not nearly as strong as I used to be because I make poor decisions like that and rely purely on my strength instead of balancing it out with like mechanical advantage or a buddy, because nobody would show up, all those kinds of things. So learn from my mistakes. Realized that it took me 3 years to recover my hands, the ability to properly use my hands and to regain all of my digit skills or motor skills in my fingers. And I've still got numbness and tingling here, and I still can't feel my fingertip here or the middle finger on the right hand. So, be smart. Just because you can doesn't mean it's always the right thing to do it, by yourself. Get help where you possibly can. Leverage mechanical advantage, and for you younger guys that are strong and just as capable as I was, just realize if you do it all by yourself, you're going to pay for it in the end. You're going to pay for it regardless, but you'll pay for it a lot sooner if you don't take advantage of every opportunity that you can while you're trying to do heavy work like this. Manual labor, getting assistance for that's not cheating. That's being smart. So don't ever think about it as cheating. You're not cheating yourself out of a workout or hard work or work ethic or anything like that. You're just being smart about it. So don't ever let anybody tell you differently. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap up this video for today, and when the time comes, and probably tomorrow, Labor Day, I'm going to be out there staking out corners and getting some of the free work done with the T-posts that we've got, and see what we can pull off tomorrow. See how far we can get. I've still got to build the shelter. I've still got to get gates. I've still got to get some corner things. I'm not going to go with poles. I'm going to go with T-posts and use a wedge lock. It's a simpler solution, and this is our first time running sheep. So if we decide this isn't the right thing, we'll tear it out and we'll move it. Move the whole thing. I'll move 1,000 feet of this wire if I have to. All right, that's it. I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. Take a day of rest if you can. God bless you. I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.